Tình nhai đó hay coi nó lo bác khá là giờ xã họ register đã là ở cái đó hyphenation. Bà thì qua cái tí qua ya là hyphenation đó hyperverse đó là cho là delay nó. Bà apply ở cái delay là hyphenation lý đó lớp bờ út tí pa bực là delay nó. Ta chung một cái thao út tí nó. Đó giờ này kia này ina bờ ta pli ta pa i ta su đi đó ta đi đó ta ba yo đi pa i. Am nè khô này thìว่าแล้วเปิด zoom team ก็บุเนาะเปิด upline leader แล้วดูทอดที่ป้าสกอโอ้ที่โอ้ตาที่กลึกๆเนาะตาเตะอาร์ตาดิเนี่ยโอ้สิกอแล้วเนาะเปิดความไปตามมูไว้
We have our VIP live, Marcus Davis.
Brother man.
What's going on, everybody? I will.
Thank you very much for removing your cap. I feel absolutely honored.
Yeah. I gotta take my cap off. There are two very important factors here, and that is, many of us, and again, whether this is for everybody or not, I'm going to give it anyway. Some of us nodes who are on this call have already had sit downs with corporate, and you really weren't specific on who you sat with, because my concern is trying to figure out who you're aligned with and who we're aligned with. Are we aligned with the same teams in reference to who we speak with at corporate? And the reason that's important, Keith, is because you've given us for the last hour a lot of you, but you didn't give us a lot based on what we need for hyper and this hyper nation. And that's a problem for me, because my mind is, I've given blood, sweat, and tears to this, but most importantly, I've given belief to this. So it's not about money. This is about belief in having something for all of us. That's all I came into this for. I was never here for money.
Mm-hmm.
Now in this transition, we've gotten two sides. I've gotten a side from Jean, Agnes, and Ro. Those are three community leaders, and I think Jean is over them. Jean actually does some of these corporate overviews for the Hyper Nation, okay? The three of them consistently have said things to me that I will not share on this slide that concern me. Now, you've met with someone, and my feeling is you have this warm and fuzzy that I don't have. And I need to know who you talk to so that we can have that same warm and fuzzy to pass on to this team. We've got 600 people on this line who are leading in this field, looking to build, looking not to be swayed. But I cannot give them a false hope in moving into a direction that I feel gray and hazy in. So the conversion, let's talk about that. We now have Hyper Nation, where they opened up the 10,000 and the 100,000 to all members to participate. The lady who just talked doesn't even apply to her. Doesn't apply to her. The whole point of that is now new USD volume going in. Where again, what you talked about earlier, when you said, okay, as a company, you need some coming in and going out. We know that. But here's the separation. I was specifically told from those three that the nation did not concern with the verse. That's what I was told.
What do you mean by that? Just explain that. What do you mean did not concern?
I will explain it in detail.
Okay.
They said Hyper Nation was not concerned with paying out members in Hyperverse. So I then said, well, if that's the case, why would I, as a node, take on $100,000 USDT position with you? Give that to you in the nation, a nation that does not need money. They had new investors come in the nation. Clearly, we know that, Keith. Why? Because they took $1 million billboard in Madison Square Garden. where I live.
Oh, really? Was it
That's
Madison
right.
Square Garden as well? Wow.
That's right.
I didn't know that.
That's right.
At all. Okay.
Huge. Now,
Okay.
clearly they don't need money. So this is not about money anymore, Keith. So now let's talk about what an investor is. An investor is one who puts in. Now they don't want anything to do with the verse. They don't want the debt of the verse. This is what we were told. I have 7 other nodes who were told the same thing I was told. They don't want the debt of the verse. So now you want me to now put in 24 million into the nation. How do the people who get the one time, forget the leaders, the one-timers, how do they get it? How do they get it if you don't want anything to do with it? And
Marcus,
that's where I'm conflicted.
Marcus. I don't understand when you say they don't want anything to do with it. It's one company. It's one company. It's
not one company, Keith. Let's be clear.
No. When I say
Hibernation.
one company, let's be honest, Marcus. How many owners are there? You said there's separate owners of Hibernation, separate owners of Hyperverse. I'm not sure if that's
no.
what you're alluding to. We're talking about the same people behind the same company, yes? And the company is one big entity where you've got Hyperverse and Hibernation, which is a new entity within the same setup. Let's be honest, it's not going to be, if you know that, then wow, you know more than me, because I don't know that even now, and you're telling me that you know.
Yes, this is what they've given us. So Hibernation is here. They have investors for Hibernation. Hibernation is separate from Hyperverse. That's what they've told us, Keith. I'm not, trust me, I don't speak unless I know what I'm speaking about.
All right, Marcus. Okay, the point that you're making is you've got Hibernation and you've got Hyperverse. And Hyperverse is going to be consolidated. Are you saying that then?
How are they going to get? My point is, Keith, how is the money going to go from the nation and pay the one-times people in the verse if the nation doesn't want to be attached to the verse?
But Marcus, they already are still paying out in the verse. Withdrawals are still taking place. Now, let me get rid of this. I'll say this to you now, Marcus. Withdrawals are still taking place. Now, I can't say when everything will be righted as far as the one time's concerned, but okay. I get every day daily withdrawal amounts from the Tron scan, and I've been getting it for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Every day they have been paying out, and I've seen even individuals messaging me, yippee, I've got my withdrawal through. Mm-hmm. Now, Marcus, if your only concern is this possible? Can they get out of this? Well, that's going to be something that you have to make a decision on. I feel that this is the only hope that I'm going to hang on to, that they will get this right, because the bottom line is that if they don't fix the old problem of the one times, let's not talk about leaders. If they don't fix that, then there is a big problem for them. Would you agree?
I do. I agree with you 100%.
I don't think that Ryan Zhu and Sam Lee will just all of a sudden become Mr. Invisible and disappear. And let's be honest, they're the ones who are going to be right up in the firing line. I'm sure they're hanging on to their liberty right now because they understand that there's a massive responsibility. So, Marcus, aside from that, because you seem to think that this Hyperverse is not going to be able to get out of its situation. I know one thing for sure, that the liability, the total liability is much bigger, huge outside of the one times, much bigger. And that's because a lot of leaders, from expert all the way up to VIP5, and individuals who've been able to sit on top of nice teams that haven't ranked up, has got more out than they've put in. And we're not talking about 100 or 500 or 1,000. There's already 450 VIP 5 stars, 450. So all I'm saying to you is that if they've got a plan going forward, that plan does not mean that they're crashing and completely destroying Hyperverse, Hypercommunity. It will consolidate and it will change. But there is a responsibility and a liability, a minimum liability on that side. And I'm trusting that these guys will get that right. But I'm not going to sit back and do nothing or say I'm out until they get everything right. Because I can't, it's not even that. I can't afford to do that because the community needs leadership. And without leadership, we go nowhere. That's it, done.
Right. And again, we will never argue on that. I agree with
No, not at all.
We will never argue on that. I think the biggest picture now is just clarity. We specifically asked for answers, and the response back to me was, we've submitted it. Now, no response. We've submitted it. And I've gotten that for the last 2 months. Last 2 months, it's been submitted. Last 2 months, it's been submitted. And so the problem is, that's why I said, I don't know who you were dealing with or who we were dealing with. The reason why I want to know what that connection is so that we can all be on the same page. We have committed to this platform. But if we're on different pages as leaders, it makes it difficult. We got to be on one page.
And the one page is this, Marcus, okay? They are yet to give us the full details of Hypernation. We only have a direct sales plan for the node. It's a direct sales, 3-tier direct sales, and it's open to anybody that wants to become a node or pro node. Whereas before it was under selection, you were selected by a pro node or a super node. So this time they say, no. We know what that caused the problems, because individuals became nodes that should never have been even anywhere near the node situation. So you can't have, someone saying, oh, I've got 5 mates, I want them to become nodes, and they're only like professionals and 1-star. So we know that that doesn't work. So that's their program there. They have said, and they have assured me that Hyperverse will not be allowed to crash. Now, and they said also, Marcus, that they are ring fencing as a priority individuals who are yet to receive 1 times. And I've been saying this to them for the last 8 to 10 months before we even became Hyperverse. You know why? Because I understand the importance of actually, if individuals get 1 times, forget the 4 times, but get at least 1 times, then then if they don't get 3 or 4 times as per the promise, on your promise is pending, then at least they can't go and say, I did not get my product, I did not get the service as promised, i.e. the 4 times. We're only talking about the rewards. They might have got the education, they might have got everything else, but the 4 times. All I'm saying is that they are well aware of this, Marcus. And I've got to say to myself, well, if they understand all of that, do I then say, well, let me continue to wait as a leader without making a decision? I can't be one of these individuals. I never have done that. I told you, when I signed up, it was the unknown. It was the only thing, Sam Ryan, background, blockchain global, next blockchain global, next blockchain. Wow, great. That's all I had to go on, and a plan that looked pretty good. And as I said, along the way, I and a few others appointed compliance. We appointed compliance. Yeah. We paid for compliance out of our own pocket for 12 months. Not many people know that. We paid her salary for 12 months. I got the company to appoint James as our legal counsel, because I know how important it is to have a legal counsel in this type of business. And you've heard his videos. He made sure very clearly that what we have here is a very good business model. Would you agree? Gave me comfort at night to know that you got somebody independent, officially appointed by the company. It took me 3 weeks to get him appointed, because I know how good he was. So now, fast forward, we're in June of 2022. We know how difficult things are out there. But what I do know is that these guys are not prepared to shut shop. And knowing that, without knowing everything, Marcus, is enough for me to say, do I stick or do I twist? That's the bottom line, my brother. You can, I mean, as I said, I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm just letting you know that I'm in. This is the chicken and the hog situation, bacon and eggs. I'm all in, brother. I'm not participating with a few eggs. I'm in. That's it, done.
Right.
So I'm just saying, great.
I got you guys.
I know.
We're done, but let me get both of you, because I hear both sides, and I think this will bring it on home.
Good.
So this will bring it home, because I see both sides. But it all comes into one. So here's the beauty. I see both of your passion. You're passionate about the people. You're passionate about the community. and we all want the same thing, right? It's just that some of us are being pulled in so many different ways. We're trying to help the communities. I get that. So Keith, listening to you speak, I heard where you said they're consolidating Hyperverse. Marcus, when you spoke as well, you mentioned that they say they want nothing to do with Hyperverse. Here is what I see. So you're both right, because what's happening is if they're going to consolidate, they're saying, hey, we want nothing to do with Hyperverse, but while Hyperverse is there, let's take care of the people within Hyperverse. They don't have to move to Hypernation. So again, also we have to remember English is their second language. So they're saying they want nothing to do with Hyperverse. Hypernation wants nothing to do with Hyperverse. What I'm hearing, from hearing what Keith has said and what you have said, Marcus, they're right. They want nothing to do with Hyperverse. They don't want to bring them over unless it's voluntary. You want to go to Hypernation.
Yeah, you can't do forcefully.
While the people are in Hyperverse, let's continue to pay them out. Let's continue to help get the people to get their 1X as we consolidate. So as they're there, they may just, whatever they decide to do to consolidate it, and they don't merge it with Hyperverse, with Hypernation, they say, let them get their pending rewards. They may even slash it in half if we got so many of it. They want to make sure people get at least their 1X. But I hear it. I see both sides. It's like, no, we don't want anything to do with Hypernation. They're right. But they want to consolidate Hyperverse. But how do we consolidate? Let's take care of the people in Hyperverse who don't want to move to Hibernation. People are just probably happy with their.
I would say maybe it might be lost in translation. So having nothing to do with sounds a little bit like, all that thing over there. So maybe lost in translation.
That's where Marcus had an issue, because he felt like they were letting the people go. Like, how can you say you want nothing to do with it? So that's why I said, y'all two men, women hear things differently. Men.
No, you basically summarized everything, and we're both on the same page, and we're both passionate about the community. I would not still be here doing calls right across the community if I didn't believe that there's a chance for the individuals who are currently in to not just survive and not be made whole, but also maybe have the opportunity to get something back out of it. That's why I'm still here. And as I said, it's not about me and the leaders. We all have to have what we call asset negotiation, Marcus. Yeah, that they've made. I wrote it down, so I understand what that means as well. Let's say you're owed $1 million. They'll have an asset negotiation with you. Let's say I'm owed 30 million. Not saying that I am, but let's say I am. They have to have asset negotiation with me and maybe give me a token and stick me on a smart contract. It's just logical. But what I won't do is delay, do nothing. And then who knows where we're going to be, because you have to at some point say in or out. I'm in or out. Thanks, Marcus.
So, okay, we'll take the last 3 questions. Thank you so much, Marcus.
No, but a 5-star leader, Marcus ne. When nagi uro atasek lo wera corporate member le agadi de partner. We yura mi pen blanya. No, when again a tira ti teloplu do awara corporate ata patupata de power no a 5-star leader K William do awara Brenda odin the case go awara Hyperverse leader la strong do the ti teloplu da ni uno do abaka ta de pa ya khutinya blue khaya de la yigasete loyata lela awara Hypernation but then mi khwa ta de pa pe wa Google or YouTube ที่ได้ผ่านเนี่ยคือก้อยตั้งเอาไว้ตั้งที่ได้ผ่านเนี่ยในบ้านหนึ่งเราก็เราเว็บไซต์แล้วเอาไว้ Hyper Community Link ดอกเอาไว้upline share เอาไว้วิดีโอ link ที่ได้ผ่านเนี่ยดอกเอาไว้ในแบบที่ว่าละตอนนั้นบ้านหนึ่งเรา password ดอกเพลงหนึ่งที่ว่าเราเอาไว้ตัดตัวตะกูโรดากิกลูหนึ่งนับเปิดดอกหนึ่งปัสเซอร์เตได้เลยเอาไว้รีดงเนาะพอแล้วนับเปิดกลอที่ได้ผ่านหรือมาก็เจ็บหัวใจเตะไปแล้วเนี่ยตัวเนาะยังจะมีเอาไว้financial advisor ว่ายังมีHyper Community Member ที่ตัวเราปากก็ได้แล้วอันหนึ่งเรา Hyper Community Member ตัวเราเราอย่าพึ่งเราอย่าจีโปรแกรมเราไว้ที่เดียตัวนี้ Daily Reward ที่มีไปแล้วเปิดบ้าว่าคอมนี่บ้าโดยสู้กับมอลเลยคือ Control คอมนี่ไว้ตัวนั้นมีบ้าคอมนี่เนี่ยว่าเราที่อัตราตักเลยอัตราเพลงอัตราที่Porter เราที่จักเลยได้ตลอดเปิดรับ Follow เอาที่คอมนี่ membership rewarding plan แบบ follow ดับดูนี่ว่าเดี๋ยวปรับนอตัวดูนี่ว่าแต่มีหรอมั้งเนาะคุณบล็อกเขาเนี่ยตั้งตัวดูมั้งเนาะเปิดดิดาเนี่ยเปิดมันเนอร์ไม่นี่วันนี้เนาะอะไรที่เราเปิดดิเกลเราเก็บดิดาเปิดติดเกาะเนาะ awen mi ta gi te mo no akhu ro ye ma da ba yi ba no odi ta ta kle na kin ne ta lap ti ra okay tul mi sip tul mi te ne okay ba ha ro ta ba mi yo no me ye ru ye na awara company the kai khula awara ye tinya ti wa ye company khai ne awe du ro ra la khiro chinui li no nai company la khiro chi khwi ma ba sa tinya la ata huta gin he the ra ba khiro mo no kobla pa network marketing member de pa ning lo do odi ne ho ge ara pe mo no no company ne ba tinya la a member ola ane 1.5 million do awara VIP 5 star de pa ane lu ya ye chi gal ne ya pe me kwa the nominate gal VIP 5 star reward ne tini ne third 2 ye ya ble la ne ya thela Kate William te gal no tini ne awara dunia da 1 million issue nya reward ne VIP 5 lu ya ye chi ga ne ti do so ne je tini ne company hit no lo ra sia leปฏิยาบ้าหรอเนาะอ่ะคนเนี่ยบอกก็เนี่ยเรื่องปันหนึ่งเราโปรแกรมที่ผ่านเนี่ยเนาะสาตัวสาเนื้อตัวนี้ก็ไม่ใช่เนี่ยเทียนเนี่ยหรือว่าหรอเนาะก็เนี่ยเราโดนนี่ว่าเนาะเปิดรับสาเนื้อเพนนัมเบอร์ทีมอะพอลไลน์เนี่ยภาษาก็ไปคุยลาตัวบุเนาะประเด็นนี้ว่าเอาไว้ได้หรือว่าก่อนนี้เด็กเราเนาะเอาไว้แต่หล่อมันนอตัวนี้ว่าปากเงาตัวน้อยแล้วเอาที่ตัดสินยาคอมนี้อะไรบ้างเอาที่ชั่วโมงเอาที่ที่ว่าโอเคที่บูระคอมนี้ตัวน้อยเนี่ยเอาที่เนี่ยเรียกว่าเจดีเนี่ยโอ้แล้วนู่นมั้งเนาะพอแล้วแต่เนื้อนั่นบล็อกว่าเอาที่ชั่วโมงนะคอมนี้ดีดิกลิเนี่ยเกี่ยร่าพีระมิดสเกมมั้งเอาที่เนี่ยฮินเนอร่าเจแล้วเอาว่าปะเนื้อโซ่ที่ป่ะเจเอาที่ฮินน้อยแล้วปะแล้วพอเราลีที่ป่ะที่ชั่วโมงดีนี่นั่นก็ยิ่งมาบ้าเอาว่าตาขอละคุยละตัวบุญเนี่ยยิ่งติดยาบ้าแล้วเขาติดต่อดูเยอะโอ้แต่ชั่วโมงเดียวนี่ไอ้คือติดยาเรายิ่งมาบ้าตาขอละคุยละเนี่ยที่ละคอมนี้ใครเนี่ยมีละเอาว่าคริปโตblockchain company แล้วอัดพลสุพาดุดเราที่ตัดที่จูอะไรดูยี่เนาะเอาที่นี่สิแค่ในกลุ่มเนื้อละ Metaverse เอาว่า virtual world เอากูเนี่ยเอาที่นี่มีนะเบอร์ hyper community ก็มีนะป่ะโชว์ดูแล้วก็เนื้อแล้วเอาที่แต่เกลียวไว้หมดเนาะก็เอาที่ดูเราละ Metaverse ตัดชั่วโมงใครเนี่ยแต่ไม่เท่แล้วเอาที่ดูป่ะเนาะMetaverse เอาว่า Facebook founder นักกินเนี่ยเอาไว้เนี่ยดิสิ่งเราดิสิ่งอย่างตัวนี้เลยเนาะแล้ว Facebook เนี่ยก็ชอลแล้ว Meta ดอกเว้ยจีโน่จีเนี่ยแล้วเอาไว้$60 billionเนี่ยตีเราได้เอา Meta ไว้เนี่ยအခုเนี่ยเป็น Hyperverse member ที่ผ่านเนี่ยเนาะแค่เนี่ยเป็นเนื้อละ Hibernation ก็รามีအခုเนี่ยแกน่ะเป็นแกว่าเนี่ยโชว์ดูแล้วเป็นเนื้อละเอาไว้แต่เกิดที่ผ่านหมดเนาะเป็นเอาไว้Rhinzu เนาะเอาไว้ Assembly พอที่ผ่านเนี่ยเอาที่เนี่ยสารตีเราได้แต่เกิดที่ผ่าน blockchain company ที่ผ่านที่สารมาละพอตะคลืมมาเนี่ยไว้มาต่อปะเรเนาะว่าแล้วสิ่งยาที่ผ่านหรือปฏินามาเนาะแต่ที่ผ่านเนี่ยนักกินดาวฟาร์มลูกคนเนี่ยตากระสอบบุนักกินโอพลาดีบ้าเนี่ยนักกินเนี่ยไปดู follow อุดิแต่เกลือเนาะอุดิป่าละก็เสือละhyper member ที่ผ่านเกลือละเอาไว้ละ hyper เกลือ hyper nation ดอกเกลือเนื้อละ metaverse ตากระสอบเนี่ยตีละแบบไม่ราวล้วนเนี่ยแบบไม่สิ่งยามาหรือเอาเนี่ยไปใส่คิดว่าละคิดหมดเนาะโอเคไปดูเนี่ยตาคนได้ยาวอีดอกไปเลย follow ป่าอุดิขียันนั่นละคอมนิวเนี่ยเอาไว้ดูอุทธรณ์แต่ละเกิดที่ผ่านกันมาละมากอยู่ว่า Hyperverse จนยอดมีป่ะเอาที่ไหนกินเนี่ยมีปัญญาละพลสูบจะตีละคริปโตเอาไว้ตาหูตาเกิดที่ผ่านสารละคริปโตปอดตัวตุลาแค่เนี่ยเอาที่หูเกี่ยวละเนาะเอาที่ตาที่จูที่ผ่านเอาที่กันเล็กๆละก็ดูว่าเอาไว้ Hyper NFT วันนี้เป็นเนื้อละเอาไว้เป็นกี่ละเอาไว้ Hyper Nation แล้วกี่ละเป็นเนื้อละเอาไว้ Metaverse แต่ดีนี่เอาที่ regular hit นี่ป่ะအခုရနာလကွန်မြူဝနေကမီလကမာလမကွေရပတာတကတဲ့ဖညောညောဒီဒီမီပါတနမကတိလာโอเคเอาเดa leader Mary no Tyson เลละ Hypernation ดิปฏิ Hyperversely อัตมีบ่าวแต่ปฏิ Hyperverse ป่ะ Hyperverse เนี่ยเอาเดเตว่าจะวุลีเนาะอะกเลวละ Hyperverse อะกเลละ Hypernation ไหนโอ้เราที่ตะกเลละกเลเนื้อละHyper NFT ดอกเลละ Hyperverseเอาไว้เนี่ยRhinzu สามลีที่ป่ะเอาที่ตาที่จูเอาที่ตาเพลงเอาที่มาเอาดีเนี่ยตัว leader Kate William นักเนี่ยเอาไว้เนี่ยอาสาหนึ่งล้อ Hyperverse เนี่ยลักคิทูคิชิไลเปรคาลิเนาะเอาไว้เนี่ยตัวนี้เนี่ยเอาไว้ดูนี่ว่า reward ละ1 million issue แล้วเนี่ยแกระ leader ละ strong ตัวกันเนาะเอาไว้นักเนี่ยเอาอุตส่าห์พูดใจยี่หล่อเนาะเอาไว้คือสิ่งนี้ตากี่คันเนี่ยเตือนวิก็ที่พูดต่อเอาไว้ corporate member ที่ผ่านแต่ก็ระเนาะลูกคือตัวนี้ตากี่เว้นเนี่ยวิมาอาสาละเสด็จยาอาสาละเกลือละ Hibernation Okay, berkuah awak tahu mu lawa tepia apa bakal hypernation ni awak tahu tahu udile, no, the hyperverse ni kele udile, no.
So the migration to hypernation is something that they have a vision on and it's something that they believe in. Hypernation is now in its early stages. So as a leader or somebody who's interested in becoming a node or a pro node, there are opportunities there. We only currently have around about 200 nodes, 250 to 270 nodes and supernode currently in hyper community Hyperverse. The last round of nodes was around, I think, September, October of last year. But what they're saying now is anyone can become a node should you wish to become one. Okay, it's open to the entire community because there's many individuals that weren't offered the opportunity to become a node in the old program. And remember, I told you to become a super node, I had to borrow 30,000 after being in the business for 5 months because I knew it was the right move to do. It's the best decision I've made since I joined because it turned everything around for me. So, Hypernation, we don't know the actual plan, but of course, the boxes that are available for leaders, it's like the pay to play. So if you think I paid 30,000, if you remember, I said I paid 30,000 2 years ago. Well, for the big box, there's a cost for the big box, which is kind of like relative because in the 2 years and the success that I've had and many of the leaders, then it's a good option if you've managed things well. And the second box allows you to migrate some of your lines across, I think 10 levels there. I'm not going to go too much into detail because many of you on here, this is the first time you're hearing this. I don't want to go into details. Your nodes and your leaders will probably know, but the boxes that are available will allow you to migrate across from hyper community, Hyperverse, a certain amount of your team, okay? Now, in the Hyperverse hyper community, what they will do for the leaders is that they call it asset negotiation. I've got it written down from my meetings yesterday. Some of you probably had your meetings if you're nodes, but I had to ask specific questions before making this decision as to what I'm going to do. So they said to me yesterday that the plan is that the Hyperverse hyper community, which will still be growing, you can still have the opportunity there, but it'll be more of a passive opportunity, certainly consolidated. And those leaders from the hyper community will have the option or opportunity to have a negotiation around the assets. Does everybody understand what that means? Yes or no? Raise your hand if you understand what I'm talking about. So they're going to look at the total liability, and it may well be that it will be a swap for tokens and smart contracts to allow you to be able to start receiving from the old platform, because not everyone's going to go across, but those that go across will be able to participate in the new program, okay? Again, we don't have the details of the new program. We're yet to get our last meetings. I'm still yet to find out what that is. But from what I've been told so far, there's a plan for the old platform, and don't quote me on this, but there will be some changes to the rewards plan. It may well be, it could be, you know, I'm just maybe guessing that it could be that maybe there might be maybe no more rebuys. Maybe they won't be allowing any more sponsoring. They'll certainly be taking a look at the multiple account situation. Okay, everyone? Just want you to understand. But it is not going to crash. HVT is not going to be allowed or let go and become zero. In the Hypernation, MOF will be the token, and you will see a recovery on that particular. So if you have got MOF on the exchanges, then let's see. But that will be the token. Plus, there'll be other tokens introduced to the community, okay? In both Hyperverse and Hypernation, okay? To give them options. And there'll be opportunities to swap your HU. And, you know, they do have these competitions where you could maybe swap it for for Ethereum and Bitcoin like I've done on certain competitions. Okay, so that is that. What else can I tell you all? The new program will have a marketing reward system as well. So if you can still build a team in the new program, you can do that. Maybe I can say this, I suppose. There will be a daily. It'll be very similar to what we have here. I'm not sure if it will be 20 levels and unlimited, infinity payouts outside your strongest team, but it certainly will have the ability to have withdrawals. So withdrawals will be available to you straight away. And also you'll be able to enjoy a healthy daily reward as well. Okay. But again, the details are yet to be given to us, and I haven't even had a heads up on that.
Okay, but Tibawara K William Tibiawa, Awara Hypernation, Tauza, the Hyperverse, Awara Uti, Ki Tauza, the part, no, but Tinyala, Hyper NFT, Pogapuyone, Ora the box, the yellow box, the purple box, the Awara platinum box, no, maybe yellow box do over the pot, over USDT, and the NFT get a passport color, le Hypernation, no? Again, Hypernation, I remember. Agar the neon kawa mela purple ne no puira tekala USDT no pene wera nagdo ni wara takodaya la na yesa yekla nta tekla kira yes yekla no pene takoya ulan ke pene ne ba wa phon mimla ke ya dani ne takoya ulan ke transfer login penny reward la hyperverse su hypernation bunni no mela purple ne nó bị tự lo, ôi na kia đó hypernation này ta khỏe đi rồi nó, ôi này nè cái transfer login nè cái transfer login chỉ là hyperverse số hypernation này cái này được tự chim lại cái là nhiều mà nó, cái liền nó branda này, ôi đây này nâng lâu ra là hypernation này nó upline là ôi là memory, ôi upline đó, nó ôi là mình là Laura, ôi na kia này join ra branda, mà nó gọi join branda, ôi là khi đó my summer our upline my summer tin nâng lo ba aku đó aku này bật thiết lập leader thì đó phải là ata thi này lo tôi lo blue đó vào cái khuyết phá đó nó my summer này từ lẽ ba đó Laura này lẽ ra đó ora bờ follow ora Laura kia nó cái này bờ qua lo tao muốn tôi cả nó ora David ora tôi bắt cô ra ata thi đó ora K William này từ lo blue đó nó đó là David này ở này đó try này ở đây này cái leader là hyperverse phá đồ được cái gì nó ở đây này ở đây ora Satoshi su cái này program đó là try đó David này là cái ở đây là hyperverse này ở đây ngáo ra FBI là khứ tình ngáo ra hyperverse ở cái đó là kiểu ở đây tình ngáo ra ở cái lọ tức là chỗ đây ngáo ra pen đó pa sa na hua ở đây cái lọ ban ngáo bỏ thuê ở đây kia là hyperverse đó đúng mà nó là tại này khối hyperverse đó claim mà nó bởi qua ở đây tao mu lo về at title of blue or Cape William again Jepo.
How are you, my brother?
Hi, how you doing? Hey,
still fighting the good fight, bro.
I appreciate you, Keith, and I appreciate you, Brenda. But from what Marcus is saying, because I've been on the calls with Marcus with management, and I just want to share with you what was really said to us. To us, we are community leaders, and we want everyone in the community to get the rewards that they deserve. But with that said, there's a lot of unknowns, and so we were trying to find out what those unknowns are. And what Marcus, when he said that, they said that the Hypernation and Hyperverse is two different divisions, and they're trying to move everyone to the Hypernation. Hyperverse is going to be downgraded. We asked them many times what that downgrade means. Then nobody has an answer to it. But here's my concern. When we were on the call, we said, so the first call we had, they said that we're going to roll out a node position the following week. And we're going to let you guys all know first, the V4s, V5s, node, and super nodes prior to everyone else. So we said, okay, we'll wait for that. The following week, bam, it was on the website for everybody. Okay, so they didn't follow through what they said. The second time when we talked to them, they said, yeah, buy into the NFT for 10,000 and 100,000, because 10,000 you get to bring 10 levels over, and 100,000 you bring your whole team over. And then we asked them, what about our pending rewards? Oh, that will be negotiated. So I said, oh, so does that mean like 30% across the board, 40%, or how does that work? No, we will negotiate with you individually. So I said, okay, so you want me to put 10,000, 100,000 out, and then you can negotiate with me? And I'm going, that's just like me going to go and buy a car blindly and not know that I'm going to get that car. It may not even have a motor.
Let me address that one there straight away, because I've had about, as I said, 6-8 calls with all my different teams, and I've heard lots of questions, and some of the questions that you probably haven't even asked. So let's address just that point there. So going across to Hypernation, whoever comes across, let's say, for example, let's say you became a pro node, okay, legendary platinum box, and that means your entire team comes across. That means their assets will come across with them. Now, you might not want to come across, so whatever you have in Hyperverse as a leader will be, as I said, you're right, asset negotiation for the leaders. Now, it doesn't stop you from making a decision. It just, because the decision is about Hypernation. Hyperverse itself is a separate discussion with the company. And listen, you're a leader, and I know you've done extremely well, but I know you have a build-up, and you have assets, and also a promise of rewards that's sitting to be negotiated on. Likewise, myself, and I wouldn't like to tell you that number, but all I know is that I have to separate the two things. And I look at the Hypernation as when I made the decision to become a supernode at that time, with a lot of unknowns. However, what I did know, that everything around that decision pointed to a good decision if everything worked well. So I had to sit down. I spent 3 weeks before I decided to make that leap of faith. Now, you're not going to get everything right now. I'm going to have an asset negotiation, sit down with them, whatever that is. But I'm prepared to have that with them, but it's not going to stop me from being part of also something which is going to be exciting, David. And I'm just saying to you, there's always going to be some element of unknown, and where you're going to have to decide, okay, right, fine, I know enough to make a decision. And I think the main issue here is a lot of the leaders, some of them maybe are quite uncomfortable with like a pay to play scenario as a node or a pro node. That shouldn't be an issue at all if you are a leader.
Keith, you are right. Okay, 80% of that is right. My problem is that trust, transparency is very important, but trust is very, very important also. Okay, as leaders, they know what we can do, and we're looking out for the whole team and everyone. But if you take a look at this, they say to us one thing, they do another. They tell us that, I mean, you're all in, and that's great. You know, I'm in this thing too, but I want to know if everyone's going to be taken care of. You said, hold on.
I do as
they
well.
said,
I do as well.
Okay, they said to us, we're going to make everyone that has not been able to withdraw, that has never been withdrawn, to be whole to what they have brought in. I have a whole list of people who have done the first withdrawal, and it's still pending. The second withdrawal is still pending. I sent it up.
You missed my, did you not hear? I said it's done manually. They have to do it manually to make sure they're not going to, listen, if it was the automatic as it was
9
before,
months, Keith, for 9 months.
I don't know when the first withdrawal attempt was made, but all I know is that they're doing it manually, and they are actually sending out withdrawals, because, as I said, I'd see how many they do on a daily basis, and I know the dollar
and
value.
I see it too. Okay,
So
I see
we
it
know that
too.
they're doing something, but it's manual, David, not automatic.
Okay, my point is this. If they follow through exactly what they said to us, we're all in. We're all in. But, you know, making us pay, not just us, but the rest of the community, the people who don't have as many penny rewards as us and all that, and making us do the purchase prior to the negotiation, I think is a little bit off.
Well, they're not making you that it's on the table. As I said, David, you're a node. We've been aware of this for 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks of me asking certain questions, not getting every single question answered, but getting to a point where I felt, you know what, I think I'm ready. And I spoke to also Chris and Francesca, who sit on 1 billion in sales in Italy. And I had a long conversation with them last Friday. We had an hour on the call, very sharp guys. Out of one market, they did 1 billion in sales, 1 billion. So they've got a huge Italian team and they've got some very sharp individuals. And we talked about it. And again, that was also contributing to me deciding what to do yesterday. But I did not jump in just because they said, listen, this is the boxes on the table. And again, there's going to be a point where you have to decide. And that might be for you, David, after everything is revealed and maybe not every single thing of yours is satisfied. Because as I said, the promise to pay is going to be a period of months to get rid of, make sure that everyone's made whole. We know that. It's not going to happen next week. However,
I understand that.
However, the decision to move forward has to be a decision that's going to be made maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks for you.
All right, you guys.
Okay, and that's all we ask. What is it moving forward? And you and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. You,
Correct.
Troy, and myself. And all we want is what is the plan so that we know how to share it with our team so that they can get the most out of this thing.
I think they're doing the third round of calls now. The third round of calls with the nodes. That will be revealed. Then the plan itself, the actual plan for Hypernation will be revealed. Because I don't know it, David. I can tell you now, I don't know what the pay plan looks like in Hypernation. But as I said, I'll wait.
And then also on Brenda's call about a week ago, I was on it, and this is why I asked the question at the last call with Marcus that we had with the management team. I said, so if we were to pay 10,000 and brought over 10 levels of our team, they have to also be in the Hyperverse, whether they're doing it with the whitelist or the 100 or whatever. But if they go to buy the 10,000 or 100,000, they can get someone else's code and be under someone else.
That is something that, listen, I'll tell you what I've done, David. I've had meetings with all my front line and I've had them bring their leaders on, and then I've shared my code with my front line. I will not go under. But yes, David, at the end of the day, if we have people on the fence not deciding, and I understand that, why should that slow down the take up of the new program? So I've had my meetings, not all of them, I've still got them right through to next week with all my front, and I've inherited a lot of front lines because some of my leaders have gone. So I've got a whole bunch of new leaders that's moved up to me. But the bottom line is that I'm having calls now to let them know, and I'm only having it with the front line, and they can have their separate meetings with their leaders. Let's try to keep the integrity of the teams in place. However, we know network marketers, remember, this is only a direct sales plan. It's not like it's part of it. It's not the network, it's the sales plan. So again, I'm doing it the right way, but we know not everyone's going to do it the right way.
Well, yeah, and that's the question that we asked them, and they said, well, that's your problem.
I don't know about problem. As I said,
and we're like, what?
It's not a problem. I've had my meetings already with half my leaders. I've got another 6 or 7 more to go. I mean, I go right across my front line and I get them to have their team leaders on, and then I let them know that I'm going to send my code to the team leader, the top of the line, and then they can then work it down through the lines. That's the way you do it with integrity.
Okay, but corporate should have done that integrity for us, because we did all the work to get the people here into Hyperverse and believe in Hyperverse.
It's
Do
just
into
a bonus.
Hypernation.
It's just a bonus.
No, but
David.
it's not a bonus. They came out and just said, hey.
No, the structure, David, will still be intact with the leader, but it doesn't move lines around. It's just a 3-tier direct sales program. That's all it is. Let's not get it confused with the actual network, your lines, what the work you've done before.
Okay. So out of this meeting, and I thank you, Keith, and thank you, Brenda. What I'm getting out of this meeting is we need to have a leap of faith. And that's it.
At the end of the day, we all have to take a leap of faith in anything that we do. There's no guarantees in anything that you do. It'll be like that. Absolutely not. But guess what? You have to make a decision at some point.
Yeah. And then I also asked them, if you guys don't fix everything on the Hyperverse, or do you learn everything from Hyperverse, that Hypernation is not going to run into the same situation in 2 years?
Well, I'm hoping so as well. 2 years is a long time away. They said they got a 3-year plan on the table.
Okay. Thank you, Keith.
Good, buddy. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Okay, ne. But Tiba awara David at a title of block with the power on it, no. But then you lap upline my summer ne or Porhovera David a kimo, no? No, awara the joiner our Hypernation. Ye upline memory, no, when care 5 star, no, ye nagi ye couldn't yarata tita pata, no, but that's a deal because joiner our Hypernation. And but join it to be television, but follow up upline Laura. Laura on it, well, he refer color print out right one. But now Laura, couple Laura, but then yalla when a tala a mark could think a little check. The one now out of Mara, Laura follow a bullom on it, mono. But Tiwala over Kuna did partner over law Mulapa, Hora Paya, couple tagi the Shevadi degree one. Oh no, I would think again, Arkine. Make quala down move making the thing at the dunya tak solo tilocheva or the urano the yaura no comni kini mia thenini hyperverse colomaguira in the over no let that cone upline my Simon hikura la but the low rebuy leba no to recruit member leba no hilarni hyperverse ne elola aga magira gira a withdrawal programming cái gì đó lo này bên này, but thiếu chỉ này bị số teli hoặc là thiếu gì bị chỉ teli một bên này ở đây là đó, như cái nào đó Kate William ta cái tu đó ở đó hyper community manager Benny đó ở đó bật quẹ leader ở đó Hyperverse customer service để bên này, chỉ là ở đó Hyperverse này, ở đó mà ba, ở cái này ta đi tu lo mà nó, ở chỗ này ở the hikula rebuy the do recruit member dido nyonu dimono ado ba the no kini thani ne Hyperverse ne koloma guira ta kini thani ne me kwa ne ta so lo phainya be kwa thela a blind Mary no o dunia 5 star nui la no 5 star ne no tani ne them black no owe dunia wa pe te la ta kini thani to bu ne tena phainya no pen ta so to ne ta o sa ba chole da ta se chole ati do ru ya no de on thanya no ta khasunya ne no Hyperverse ne me lo mak wi da gi ne jina la company ne a correct le ra la ta chole da la penny reward no awara ula Hyperverse pa na ke ba hit gi ba le kle gi ba o mo no ye na ni ne community me la ke ma ha gora na chori tna mo odi khobla odi me po khon phadu kha ata thi jora ge ata tu gi za wa ro ho na itna la ke ma dini ba la khone ye recruit di do nyon so no you rebuy ye ji koning de no awara akedi betinya mo no withdraw pathup ji ne wa ma katala wa khobla awara betinya la awara muklo kwa law no crypto apui nai law no program hyper đó Hyperverse awara program đó Hypernation program de pa ta chodle da u ne khone awara gb na ge ni pthio pa nyo thơ chi ni do du yom no community alo la khila khila atobu du awara ta thơ chi program khane clear lu so cha la nyo nu to lo no ye na pla Hyperverse ni amira gbo po chichigo bi no awene emil Hypernation khone kemia ke bo phado bi no dollar akobuneta phuta lik o do du nya no la activity de pa la game awara virtual world no ta de pa ne o la awara o la Hypernation ko bu no bai bam nu khune ye ti la awara yin Hypernation awara account ko bu ni awara hyper NFT transfer awara program open mo no pa tin awe pekele transfer patale activity la kha ka ti mo no ti ne khona to no de awde de join ra Hyperverse ba khobla awde to no ne ti la downline de pa ta ki so do te ro join wa ko ti ro awara downline ne o mo no kho ne awde ta se te lo mo no awen de patama chu pata no ga ba ta la share no hi nó khói nó thì phải tình nhá rồi na bơ rồi khi nó khói nó ta sẽ tiền này mình là đi cha giờ ta sẽ tiền lòng nó giờ này cái này giờ khi tiền na bơ rồi mà cha ta sẽ tiền giờ nó cha đó lo và từ mới chuyện nó là gì bảo nó mà mình nói giờ này giờ bà ta khai là giờ đủ cái gì bỏ lấy lo cái lý nó giờ hao cái ta mà lý giờ mà Hyperverse ý cái lịch sử nó giờ này là Hypertech nó ủa ta kể là ghi cái đó là member phải đi phá gọi là một ta quay ra the kind này thì mình thấy là lúc chỉ khâu ba đôi khi nào là về mindset nó về ta nã nó về ta tổ ta luôn là ta kể về buôn bán nha vậy thì ta cứ là vậy mà lo à ở đây crypto ở đây cái lúc thì phá là vậy kêu Hyperverse a member nó đó vậy thì mình bảo lúc quay game po ba nó này cái này ta kể Hypernation nó NFT ta phá này thì chú sẽ gọi là cái game changing opportunity cả khối đó vậy là đủ rồi mà nó tại con họ này là Hypernation này ở đó cái ta so đó bắt đầu nữa tại cái ta lọt chơi vào cái ta khối này thì anh chua khối này ủa là bắt tan nào mà nó thì ta muốn khai là bùn này ở đó generate tạo số clear độ khối này mình đi cứ khi khai là mà bấm nút rồi generate gì awara tau skle gi be hi ki khala nai bam nu lo akon ne to lo Hyperverse no gi no Hypernation gi be hi ki khala nai ba le me pe nu lo ke member ki khala nai ba le ye do he ku pa la tu di ta ri do la che mi u awa sa te la $100 mo no mi ken ti di je do pui chwa je ra yellow box ta kha ni NFT yellow box kha ni do awa bam nu ko ne a deadline ne ora la jun la ki je so le loไปมีปุยมีpo pedunia passport kala peleningala Hypernation ni li ne Hypernation ado mo no Hyperverse milama phu no nakine awdi talakle ula ke transfer ra Hyperverse a penny de pala Hypernation bu ni ko ora ta lo mo no e ti jula awra te ma mo no mitini pui chuba jo te klita sa dollar di wa ne bam ni khone ye ta chumo udi mo no ta wa ne no pain no gain no be mi cha ne be man ne ba no risk no opportunity no be mi te hi ta lo ba yo wa ne be du ne ta khore ya gi ni ba no ya te la ki te ne ta se te de pa ne khile ne o la ti ju bu lo mo ti se te do ti ma ta ble